So we have breaking news. A federal judge just ruled that effectively Elon Musk DOGE are filled with lies and a sham. That's the subject of today's video, and I'll tell you what we're talking about here, and let's just jump right in. This is the headline: Trump administration live updates. Judge orders thousands of federal workers reinstated, right? So all these people that the Musk DOGE want to fire, right? The probationary workers, he's like saying, hey, you got to reinstate these people. I want to go through the details of this stuff because it's really important. It says a federal judge on Thursday ordered 6 federal agencies to rehire thousands of workers with probationary status who had been fired as part of President Trump's government gutting initiative. So 6 federal agencies, you got to rehire the workers that, remember, the Musk DOGE want to fire. Ruling from the bench, Judge William J. Alsop of the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California went further than he had previously. Okay, so it's a stronger ruling, finding that the Trump administration's firing of probationary workers had essentially been done unlawfully and by fiat through the Office of Personnel Management, the government's human resource arm. Now, initially, Musk and the DOGE people were looking, taking over the GSA, the OPM, right? They're sending out these crazy emails from the OPM that would be the Musk emails, be it the 5 things email, etc., or the fork in the road stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like you got to take our offer to quit or resign or buy out, however you want to call this thing. Also, then they just push out probationary workers. We also talked about before, there was that woman in West Virginia who got a job promotion, right? So even though it wasn't like a new employee to the government, but she got a promotion, and they also treated people who recently got promotions as probationary workers, and you push those people out. But the judge is saying you got to bring these people back. This is actually multiple agencies. So it says here from the judge, he directed the Treasury, Veterans Affairs, Agriculture, Defense, Energy, and Interior departments to comply with his order and offered to reinstate any employees who were improperly terminated. So again, judge's ruling, you guys fired people unlawfully, you improperly terminated people. This is kind of the language. His order stemmed from a lawsuit brought by employee unions who challenged the legality of the mass firing. So this is a big win for workers as they are fighting for their rights against Trump and Musk, who basically want, again, fire all these regular Americans that just want to do their jobs. Trump and Musk's plan is to replace you with robots, AI, or just delete agencies entirely. They want to remove regulations so they can run their scams, take money or whatever. That's what this is all about. This is more from the judge. He said it was clear that federal agencies had followed directives from the Office of Personnel Management, so again, OPM, to use a loophole allowing them to fire probationary workers en masse based on poor performance, regardless of their actual conduct on the job. Okay, so listen to the quote, and this will make sense. From the judge, it is a sad day when our government would fire some good employee and say it was based on performance, when they know good and well that's a lie. It was a sham in order to try to avoid statutory requirements. So basically, if you understand this language, and this is very, very strong language from the judge, saying, you DOGE people over there, right? You Trumps and Musk people, you're basically, firing all of these workers. You're saying it's based on performance, but that's a lie. You're lying about that, right? And the way that they were firing people, they just push out as many people as they possibly can. And they're like all, probationary workers, right? And so it wasn't based on performance. They're just coming up with some sort of excuse. So this is a really, again, strong language. And I think it's worth repeating what the judge said, right? It is a sad day when our government would fire some good employee and say it was based on performance when they know good and well that's a lie. It was a sham in order to try to avoid statutory requirements. Also says here, before handing down the ruling, Judge Alsop was careful to clarify with lawyers representing the unions that, quote, reduction in force orders now being issued at several agencies were still legal and could go forward. Interesting. So we're still going to have probably fights on this kind of stuff. I'm sure the workers' unions will come back with more. This is a fight over people's jobs. I'm sure you guys understand. Also says he said his finding that the earlier wave recommended by the Office of Personnel Management was an overreach of executive authority, but that his order did not stand in the way of the government executing layoffs in accordance with the rules. Okay, so you can still fire people, but you got to go by the rules here. Quote, if it's done right, there can be a reduction in force within an agency. That has to be true, okay? More, Congress itself has said you can have an agency can do a reduction in force if it's done correctly under the law. He had to draw an acknowledgement by a lawyer representing the unions, okay? The judge also had originally planned to have Trump administration officials appear to testify about the process through which the layoffs were planned. So how did you fire people? What was going on with that? But the government made clear Wednesday that Charles Ezell, the acting head of the Office of Personnel Management, would not appear. Yeah, of course they don't. That happens either they, don't show up to court, right? This would be the Trump and Musk people. Or when they do show up, they'll say, I don't know, or I'll get back to you on that kind of stuff. So they didn't appear. More, it says the judge's decision on Thursday, which also extends a restraining order last month blocking the Office of Personnel Management from orchestrating further mass firings, offered a temporary reprieve for federal worker unions who have resisted the Trump administration's initiatives. Daniel Leppert, a lawyer presenting the unions, noted again during a hearing that the directives had a devastating effect on agencies by culling not only younger workers and recent graduates, so affecting young people, but even career civil servants who had recently been promoted, right? Mentioned that one before, and were in probationary period in their more senior positions. Quote, this action by the OPM made Swiss cheese of federal agencies at every level. This is actually, again, a very, very important ruling because Musk is still trying to exert power all over. This was just broke by the Wall Street Journal just a few minutes ago. Elon Musk made secret visit to U.S. spy agency. Honestly, this doesn't make me feel better about anything. I mean, yes, you have the judge ruling, and at this point, the courts are the ones that are upholding the law, that are protecting democracy, and I hope they continue to do so. Just do your job and fight for rule of law. Musk, like when you hear these kind of stories, like what are you doing at the spy agency now? It just feels like his tentacles are going everywhere, and I can read a little of the details if you guys are curious. This says, because there wasn't a lot, to be honest, because you'll hear about it and you're like, okay. Elon Musk visited the National Security Agency on Wednesday. Current and former U.S. officials said, meeting with the leadership a week after saying the intelligence and cybersecurity outfit needed an overhaul, right? So that's what he's messing with. The discussion with the NSA, which hadn't been previously disclosed, centered on staff reductions and operations, officials said, one describing as a, quote, positive conversation. So Musk wants to fire as many people as he can. We've been hearing reports that the Musk Trump people want to get rid of our counterintelligence, especially those targeting, say, China or Russia. And this comes at a time when, there's been negotiations for a ceasefire in Ukraine. It doesn't seem, though, that like Putin wants to play ball with the ceasefire and just wants to take more land. That's what it sounds like to me. I read through this. Effectively, the debate is all about, will Ukraine stay neutral or not? Will they join NATO or not? Obviously, then Russia would want Ukraine just to, not join NATO, stay neutral. You have, Musk coming all the time saying, oh, we should leave NATO, blah, blah, blah. So basically anti-NATO stuff that's from Musk. So it's sort of, how do I say it, is promoting, Russia type propaganda. I'm bringing this stuff up because you have to understand how this is all connected. And from Putin's point of view, he's just like, well, now that the U.S. has withdrawn support because unfortunately the Ukraine soldiers have had to pull back because they don't have U.S. support anymore. And so then, Putin's at this point is just like, well, I can just take more land. So that's from Putin's perspective is like, you can't trust Putin basically. Or they're trying to get a ceasefire, but Putin's like, well, maybe I can get a little bit more land, right? So there's that. You got Trump's people out there saying this kind of nonsense stuff, as they always do. This is Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary. And if you guys know, he's kind of like the court jester sort of person. And he's always the first one to clap whenever Trump says something. He's the first one to laugh when Trump says a joke. I mean, he's a complete lackey. This is from him, though, because I want to understand how this all fits together. Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, warned other countries that they should not retaliate, right? Don't fight Trump. That's how this person would say, should not retaliate against tariffs the United States is putting on their exports. He said that some countries like Britain and Mexico had thoughtfully examined how they do business with the United States, but for countries that respond with further tariffs, quote, the president's going to deal with them with strength and with power, right? Also, Letnick says, quote, if you make him unhappy, he responds unhappy. Kind of, how does it make sense? If you make him unhappy, he responds with unhappy. And that's what Letnick's saying of Trump. I'm mentioning all this stuff together, the Musk, the Putin, the Trumps, so the Letnicks, they're all kind of the same type of person, right? Sort of gangster mentality. They'll try to, take as much land and power as they possibly can. And if you don't go along or kiss the ring, they'll, that's how, in their words, if you make me unhappy, right, he responds unhappy. And you'll get these kind of stories as well, also coming from the Wall Street Journal, just breaking just a few hours ago. Binance, if you don't know, this was a big crypto thing. Basically, there's a lot of money laundering going on with crypto. And they're trying to get a deal because I think the CEO, is he in prison right now? I can't remember. I know he got a ruling against him. That was CZ. We haven't talked about this one for a while. But he's trying to get a pardon from the Trump people, basically. And then they were reaching out to the Trump family. And you guys, both Melania and the Donald have a meme coin. It's unclear because we won't know all the details until we know. It's unclear like what the exact contract of the deal is going to be made. Like, hey, do they get a portion of Binance? Will they put their coins on Binance? Who knows? But this is all big money laundering thing. I mean, you can see here, it says the talks began after Binance reached out to allies of Trump last year, offering to strike a business deal with the family as part of a plan to return the exiled company to the USA. It's all crypto nonsense. And then one of Trump's people, that's why I mentioned how it ties to Russia, named Steve Witkoff. So he's been negotiating Middle East deals and then also Ukraine deals. But I think all this honestly just boils down to money laundering and power and stuff like that. And so now the Trump people, they want to get rid of the any sort of ethics or lawyers in the IRS, right? See, top IRS lawyers set to be demoted amid taxpayer data sharing clash. Musk wants to get more of your data. Effectively, this was reported here. People tied to Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency have been working at the IRS for several weeks and have been interested in how they can use tax agencies' data. They have been trying to negotiate broad data sharing agreement. The data could theoretically be used for checking eligibility for federal benefits and for immigration enforcement. So the kind of data could be like your name, social security, numbers, bank account data, income, etc. And it all ties together, right? It all ties together. Be it with the Putin and his cronies, want to money launder in the USA. It was like, for example, remember Trump selling that gold card thing. It was like what was it? Was it $2 million? I can't remember the exact number. It's hard to keep track of all this stuff. But basically, the idea was that if you give money, then no matter where you come from, be it Russia, Saudi, China, or whatever, you can come and be a resident in the USA. I mean, it's just all ends up being money laundering. And invest in your crypto and AI scams, and you got this big crypto person. He's one of the biggest crypto people out there, trying to make a deal with the Trump family. Musk then obviously is then trying to eliminate as much counterintelligence as possible. So, you're removing regulations, removing, agents from tracking money laundering, right? Do you guys understand how this stuff is connected? And then, just the regular people get hurt. That's why this is a big deal when the judge is ruling against them to bring back workers. On top of that, we're probably going to have some more big rulings coming in from the courts. I think it's 20 states are now suing regarding the Trump Musk people wanted to lay out. I think they fired like half of the education department. It was really crazy. We'll read a little bit of this. Yeah, coalition of 20 states has sued the Trump administration over plans to eliminate nearly half of the staff of the education department, saying the move would effectively dismantle the agency. This was a quote from New York attorney Letitia James. Quote, firing half of the Department of Education's workforce will hurt students throughout New York and the nation, especially low-income students and those with disabilities who rely on federal funding. This outrageous effort to leave students behind and deprive them of quality education is reckless and illegal. And that's where we stand right now. It's going to be fights in the courts to keep Musk and Trump from dismantling our government and doing illegal things. And as Letitia just said, this is just the reality. The targets that are going to pay the highest price from Trump and Musk policy is kids, right? People who are the most vulnerable. People who rely on Social Security, people who rely on Medicare, and even if you don't know, like say federal funding is really important to children with disabilities, because are in special needs, because schools that don't have enough funding for this stuff, they rely on the federal money to come in and to hire special ed teachers, this kind of stuff, and it matters. And especially if you guys have any family member who have special needs, these kind of things, and that's just one group of people. There's a lot of groups of people out there, but I'm just saying those are the most vulnerable, and from the Trump and Musk point of view, just get rid of them, right? Get rid of those probationary workers, get rid of poor people, etc. Just replace you with robots stuff. It's really callous. And guys, I do this stuff every day. I read through everything every day, and I get a lot of stress about this too. And I just want you to know that you're not alone. If you care about other people, like I do. That's why we talk about this stuff. From the Musk and Trump point of view, everything for them is just dollar signs. That's all they ever think about. So regular workers, they don't care. They've Trump and Musk think like you should, as regular workers, should just give up your weekends, your holidays, your lives, so they can build their stupid projects that don't work. And so this is a really big deal, guys. When the judge comes in and say, hey, if you've been fired by these people, you can you got to get your job back. You have to be offered your job. I think it's really important for just regular Americans. So let's keep tabs on this together and try to keep each other sane. We'll keep an eye on this one. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.